Let's go! What time is it? Gator! It's gonna be a football game tonight now. No doubt. It's gonna be a football game here. Okay. I done been here before. All right, let's go, baby.
9. Rushing forward, ball comes out of the hands of Newton. It's on the ground, and it's still on the ground. Picked up by T.J. Ward at the 4-yard line. Vaughn Miller did it again.
Alabama back on top of the college football world.
Ladies and gentlemen, football to the max.
Your host, Sean Garmer, Gary Vaughn, and Randy Isbell.
Hello and welcome to another Football to the Max. And guys, we finally have some actual NFL games that matter to talk about. We have one that already happened, and we have more to discuss that are going to happen over the weekend and on the Monday night doubleheader for this week. How excited are you for football to be back?
Oh, super excited, and at least that Thursday game went exactly the way we thought it was going to, right?
Yeah, we look stupid already.
Aren't we smart, right? Yeah. No, but I mean, at the same point, even if we're not correct on the who wins the game, heck, it was just a blast to watch, and it came down to the very end. Those are the kind of games you want. I mean, it wasn't a blowout. It wasn't a situation where I kind of thought it would be, where by halftime you kind of knew what was going to happen. So it kept you to the very end. I think the NFL is probably happy with the outcome.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It was, like you said, close the whole time. Trevor Siemian, what do you guys think of as his performance?
You know, he did exactly what he needed to do, just game manage his way. You know, he had the one bad float pass that didn't quite get deep enough. His other interception, was a perfect read by the defensive lineman on a screen pass, and he tipped it. But I thought Siemian actually did really well, and I was very surprised by his performance and just his cool, calm demeanor the whole time. And I think that actually can lead to something pretty good for him. Just the fact that no matter what happens and how much pressure is coming at him, he's not going to force himself to make a mistake. You saw that on the very first play where it was just going to be a quick wide receiver screen, and he went to go do it, and a defender was right there, and all he did was pump fake and then sidearm it. Like, he just was like, okay, this didn't work, I'm going to go on. It didn't go, oh, there's somebody there, let me freak out. So I think that's why Trevor Siemian won the job in Denver, was his demeanor and just how he was calm, cool, and collected. And that led to him being able to lead Denver on this little comeback because, at halftime, I thought it was over. Carolina was up 10. They're rolling a little bit. I didn't see Siemian really being able to come back, and that's exactly what they did. They marched down the field a few times, took advantage of a tip pass by Cam Newton for an interception, and got the job done. So I think we all kind of underrated Denver, thinking Siemian was just going to be awful and the defense wasn't going to be able to make up for his mistakes. But he's a poor man's Peyton Manning, and that's all you need on this team with C.J. Anderson running the ball as well as he did and a defense like that. This could be a legit playoff contender, if not Super Bowl contender. I mean, I don't want to overreact and say, well, they're the Super Bowl favorite right now, but I think we underrated Siemian.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree with you on that. And, see him a little bit in preseason, you get a little bit of, what could be, but you didn't really know when it came down to the actual game action what this kid was going to be about. And he really showed that he could do the job. He's not spectacular. He's not going to go out there and single-handedly win you games like a guy like Cam Newton will. But at the end of the day, he's going to be useful. He's going to be a part of the machine. And as long as that machine works the way it did like tonight, they're going to be just fine. And like you said, playoff contenders, even Super Bowl contenders, if it's going to go with the way it did tonight. And, I know you said that you kind of thought the game was over at halftime. I kind of felt differently. I saw what the Denver was doing, and sure, Carolina got, a little momentum there, but I kind of felt like Denver stayed in it pretty well, and they were only down by 10 points, whereas when I walked into this game, I thought halftime, Carolina's going to be leading by 17 to 20 points, not only 10. So that made me, kind of think that there was still an opportunity for a comeback or something, kind of like it did happen. So at the end of the day, I think that was good, and here's one thing, and I want to throw this out there about this game. We saw Cam Newton take a beating at times, and we saw this in the Super Bowl, really. Now, this wasn't the Super Bowl beating, but it was still a beating, and I'm still trying to count how many helmet-to-helmet shots this guy took tonight. It was quite a few. And, we'll be seeing if there's any fines coming out or anything like that. I'm sure there will be. There's got to be. But, man, it really made me wonder, how does the concussion protocol take place? Because, man, it's kind of like what I saw with Odell Beckham Jr. one time last year. Got rocked, stood up, kind of wobbled, and then he got to stay in the game. Cam Newton the same. I thought maybe that the trainers would have to come take you off the field, especially if you took a helmet-to-helmet shot. And the length of time that Cam Newton stayed on the ground leads me to believe the trainer should have been there, should have took his helmet and checked him out, never took him out of the game. Anderson, I don't think, even got to walk on the field, even though he threw some football. So I'm kind of curious what you guys think about that.
Yeah, it was really interesting, and I saw a report saying that there were 4 helmet-to-helmets on Cam Newton, and only the one called late in the game, that really vicious hit he took by, I believe, Brandon Marshall, where they had the offsetting penalties because Cam Newton just threw the ball before getting completely decked. And that was the one where you're saying where he laid on the ground for quite some time as they were sorting the penalties, just trying to collect himself. And yeah, I'm kind of surprised they didn't pull him off the field. Maybe it's because they wanted it to be competitive and they didn't want to pull basically the best player on that offense off the field right at the end. They didn't want that to be any kind of excuse or a big news story. But I think they kind of got a news story because, their message is completely twisted and very blurry right now. And, Cam Newton did bring it up in the press conference saying, listen, I tried to tell him every time I got hit in the head just to let them know. And, he even said, listen, that wasn't the reason we lost. We lost because we couldn't move the ball. We were very stagnant on offense. I thought, especially after his last press conference, losing to this same team, the big controversy after that, I thought he handled it perfectly, saying, listen, they need to be more careful with it, if that's what the whole goal is, and they missed a lot. But, sometimes you miss it, and that's not why we lost. But it's going to be very interesting the rest of the week to kind of see the response from the NFL through all of these allegations.
Yeah, that is going to be interesting. That's scary when somebody says, hey, I got hit 4 times. Now, that one hit by, I don't know if it's Stewart, it looked like Cam kind of ducked and inadvertently he got hit in the head on that one. It didn't look like he was targeting his head or anything like that. They called it because it was a helmet-to-helmet. They have to call that. But if you look at the replay, you can kind of tell that Cam was trying to avoid it, and in doing so, he comes down and kind of basically just goes level with where the other guy's at. I mean, once you take off, you can't really do much, So that's sort of one of those situations where, what are you going to do at that point? You already took off in the air. So
that's just it's going to be interesting. But the other story I really loved from this game, obviously, Simeon getting his first start and he played pretty well. How about the night and day first touches for Denver running backs, where Devontae Parker touches the ball for the first time in his NFL career and fumbles the ball, and then you have fullback Andy, how do you say his name, Janovic, touched the ball for the first time in his NFL career and runs for a 28-yard touchdown. And if you go back and watch that replay, I wish I knew the player's name, but the safety for Carolina runs up into the hole, and Janovic just runs right by him. He's like, he doesn't have the ball. Oh, he had the ball. And you just see like he could have easily made the tackle, but he's like, no, I got around the fullback. Now I'm gonna make. Oh, whoops.
You're not Jonathan Stewart. You're not C.J. Anderson. I'm sorry.
Oh crap.
Yeah.
But absolutely a great game between two great defenses, and it came down right to the end. Gano misses the field goal at the end. I hate icing the kicker, but it worked, I guess, this time, so we're going to see more of it. But, I mean, a 50-yarder is no gimme for sure. But it was a great game that came right to the end, and as Gary said, the NFL has to be pleased with how the first night went.
Definitely. And, the one thing I'll note is, this week when we were doing our power rankings, I may flip-flop these teams, but that's about it. I mean, these teams are going to be pretty high on the list. I mean, the Panthers proved they're pretty darn good still. Them losing this game doesn't take anything away from them. It just came down to a few things that separated both teams, and so it's going to be interesting. And, of course, you can go find those power rankings on W2Mnet.com.
Yes, that leads us into talking about that because we did talk about it on the wrestling podcast, so we didn't talk about it here. The thing that you might have already heard on Randy's fantasy podcast, or you might have heard us go into length about on one of the wrestling podcasts, but we kind of decided to be tight-lipped about it afterwards, is that we now have a website. It's called W10net.com. We even have a little tag that I'll play probably at the end now, since I forgot to play it at the beginning. That lets you know that we're kind of going with 4 big things at the moment, with football being one of them. Obviously, since we have so many football podcasts, we have 4 of them now, and one that sometimes covers football, but it covers other sports, and video games, because we have the video game podcast, and because almost all of us here come from a background in that. So you can go on the site now and read Randy's Madden review, in fact, so to tie both these things in. And of course, wrestling, that's the flagship thing on this entire network and the reason why it exists. And entertainment, because we're all entertaining people, and there is a couple of, and we made a great deal with the Radlich and Broadcasting Network, which has a couple of people you might have heard of sometimes, Mr. Robert Cooper, Mark Radlitz, Robert Winfrey, some guys that we've had on before, guys that I've done podcasts with. That's a website-only actual deal. You won't hear them on the W10 Network, but you can go find Radlitz and Broadcasting on iTunes and Stitcher and stuff like that, and you'll see podcast posts from them on the group. If you go to the site now, it's sort of, it's still a work in progress, but you get some cool stuff that you can see that we're going to be building upon as the weeks go by. So, and also opportunity for you if you find one of those areas and you say, hey, I want to write, I want to have a voice, send me an email, s.garmer@gmail.com, or, once I have that contact page up, it'll have all of our emails, and, all of us are department heads of some of the departments, and you can email one of those guys directly if you want to talk with them. So, you could email Randy directly, or Gary, or any of us. So, yeah, this is pretty cool, guys. I mean, Randy, you and I, we stayed up getting that stuff done. Gary participated in that. Paul's contributed a lot of wrestling stuff. So, we're getting there, at least.
Yeah, Sean, I learned one thing last night. I am too old for all-nighters anymore. I can't.
Too old for summer parties.
I am dragging, but I had a lot of fun reteaching myself HTML. It's been since high school, since I knew all that stuff. Trying to get all these tables and stuff to go exactly the way I wanted. Getting all the information that all of us have been able to put together, the fantasy rankings, our power rankings, the college top 25 that we all contribute. Getting it in print form for you guys too, so if you miss something on a podcast, you can go on one of these pages and still get our thoughts on and everything football and all of that, and something that you can use down the line.
And let's be honest, sometimes it's easier just to read a page than it is to go through a podcast. So
True.
It gives you the ability to read what we think, and if you want to listen to the podcast, it's there in that article, or it's there wherever you listen to us now, or whatever. So, hopefully you enjoy it, and we'll be able to give you more content as the weeks and days go by.
Yeah, definitely, and it's already looking good. I know right now it's still bare bones, but I got to give props to both of you guys. I mean, Sean's still working. Trust me, this guy is still working overtime trying to get all the content that we haven't even put up yet on the site. And Randy, I got to give you complete props. That all the football section, it just looks beautiful. All the logos, everything you've done. I'm very impressed on that. So, I mean, this is looking good, and I'm excited, man. You guys have done a heck of a job so far. So,
yeah. So now that we've gone into our little housekeeping section, let's get into this, guys. We should probably hit up college first, since there is a game on Friday, and then the rest of the games are on Saturday. Louisville. Who got ranked pretty high after their shellacking of Charlotte. They are playing Syracuse. Anything that makes you think Louisville's not winning this game? Silence.
Other than it's just exactly, I'm trying to come up with something just to be argumentative, and it's nothing's coming to me.
Yeah.
We had a little bit of a disagreement when it came to our top 25 about where to rank Louisville. Them being on the road, I guess, could be a slight hindrance to them, but nah. I honestly, I don't see any of the top 25 falling in this week. It seems like we had the greatest first week in college football history, and now everyone's going, okay, now we're going to play our cupcakes and get ready for conference play. And now that everything is settled down, I think college football realizes, okay, we had our week. This week is NFL, and then we'll go back to owning Saturdays.
Yeah, I completely agree on that. And looking at all these different matchups, it's kind of the same way, and I feel the same way about this matchup by itself. I mean, Louisville, I think it's going to be an extraordinary event if Syracuse wins.
Certainly. It will be one of the ones they're going to be talking about, because people are already talking about, Louisville's going to be challenging Florida State and Clemson, and Florida State and Clemson didn't look all that powerful at first. I mean, it took Florida State a whole half to wake up, but Clemson had a scare as well. So perhaps if Louisville keeps going the way they are, it could be an interesting one. Aside from that, like Randy mentioned, a lot of the big teams are sort of playing cupcakes here. But let's go. What we have to do in the pick'em is sort of the more competitive games. So we'll go through that first, and then we'll go through the other kind of what the top 25 is doing that's not covered in here. The Tennessee Volunteers and the Virginia Tech Hokies playing in the later game on ABC at Bristol Motor Speedway, the Battle at Bristol. Tennessee almost loses to Appalachian State last week. Do you think Virginia Tech gives them the same kind of problem, or does Tennessee finally wake up and get that they can't play like that 2 weeks in a row?
Well, they definitely better wake up. I mean, they're going to be playing in front of the biggest crowd in college football history. And actually one of my favorite racetracks to watch as far as NASCAR goes. But yes, Tennessee had their scare with Appalachian State. They survived. They moved on. I think they learned a great deal about themselves. And now we get to see this Tennessee team that I think a lot of people thought we were going to see. A team that could contend to be in the top 10, maybe, push an Alabama or an LSU, even though they lost, to try to get into that playoff, that wild card team that, just maybe could contend. Definitely did not look like it last week, but this is a great opportunity and a great stage for them to go, no, this is who Tennessee is.
Yeah, I think so. And Tennessee, I think they were a little sleepy last week. Now they will definitely wake up. And if they don't, well, they don't deserve to be in this upper echelon anyway. But I don't think that's going to happen. One thing I'm curious about is, will they have a pace car in this, anywhere, driving around the track? I think that'd be kind of neat, so.
Yeah, that's certainly going to be an interesting one. Another one is my team that struggled to beat Louisiana Tech last week, the Arkansas Razorbacks, taking on another sort of favorite of mine, TCU, who had to pull away late against South Dakota State. This is in Amon Carter, so Arkansas's got an uphill battle here, certainly.
Yeah, absolutely. The good thing for Arkansas is they're going to put up points because they're playing TCU and they just give up a ton of points. But I think this will play out a lot like TCU's first game. It'll be close in the first half. They'll be giving up the points, but then, they're just going to start pulling away because that offense doesn't stop. And the defense will start figuring some things out to get a stop here and there. So Arkansas might keep it interesting for the first half, but that's about it.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, this is a game where I could see an upset because, the fact that, TCU, is not a stranger to, having weird games where, their offense turns the ball over more than once. And that may be all it takes for Arkansas to get a victory here. But I think I feel more of a safe bet with TCU. I kind of with Randy on this. I think it'll be close, but I think at the end TCU will pull away.
Yeah, certainly. TCU should win this. I'll be rooting on for my Hogs all I can, but I doubt that they're going to play. Right now I don't have a lot of faith in what we got at quarterback right now. It's just nothing that I saw was like, oh yeah, this guy's the same as his brother. Right now, Austin Allen, not the same as Brandon Allen. And TCU should probably take advantage of that unless their defense just doesn't show up like they did, like last week. Let's see what else is on this. Brigham Young. This matchup is always interesting because both these teams are actually pretty good, and they have been for the past few years. BYU and Utah.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I like Utah in this matchup. They tend to own this rivalry, and I don't see that changing that much. It is at home there. I think it's going to be close, and it'll be one of the more interesting matchups come Saturday, since, again, most of the top teams are playing nobodies. This will be one of the more competitive games. But I don't see the Cougars winning here.
I forgot to ask, where's y'all's confidence on the first two games that we talked about? The Tennessee
I had
game,
a Tennessee. Yeah, Tennessee at a 4 and TCU at a 7, and Utah with a 3.
Let's see. I had Tennessee at 6, TCU at 5, and I have BYU and Utah at 1. I'm really undecided on that one. I got BYU winning.
Yeah, I'm with you on BYU. That's kind of the way I feel. That's probably going to be my confidence level. But I just I kind of thought about last season and the way they won games. It wouldn't surprise me if they found a way to do it the same way on this game. So I get the history, but I wanted to be a little different. But I haven't exactly confirmed my whole confidence points yet. So I'm going to let you guys do that. But right now I got BYU.
Fair enough. So, moving on from that, we got Oregon and Virginia. I have this as my 10. Oregon should wipe the floor with Virginia.
I agree. It's my 10 as well. I don't think it's going to be close. Virginia traveling all the way over to a really tough place to play. Oregon is not the same team as they've been the last decade, but they're still very competitive, and I think they'll just destroy them.
Yeah, so by after the first quarter, you can change to the next game.
There you go. You heard it first. Just watch
Oregon.
that first quarter. You'll be all right. Texas Tech and Arizona State. Maybe not so cut and dry, this one.
No, these are the games that will be interesting. Those teams that are outside the top 25 that are battling it out. We have a couple of those games here this week, and this is definitely one of them. I give Arizona State the slight edge because they're at home. Really tough to tell exactly what kind of teams these two are, as they basically played cupcakes their first week. So here it is, their first test each. So I'll give the slight edge to the home team, but this is my confidence of 1.
Hey,
Yeah,
Gary,
this is
you
gonna be
remember when Randy said Arizona State was going to win the Pac-12?
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that's pretty.
That was before we had a website and we documented everything, so I don't remember that at all, guys.
It never happened, right?
No,
It never happened. That's right.
Yeah, unless it's on audio, we can still put that old podcast up. But anyway,
No.
oh man, so yeah, you know what's weird? This is probably going to be one of those low confidence points for me too. But I'm surprisingly I'm going to go with Texas Tech. Once again, history tells me that Texas Tech sometimes pulls these games out, and it's usually because of their offense.
I'm going to go with Arizona State, but I got this as my number 2. I'm not very confident at all about what we're going to, it could really go either way. Wake Forest and Duke. Wake Forest, one of the worst teams in all of college football. Duke should win this.
One of the worst offenses for sure in college football. Yes, they did win their opening game, but they won it by a score of 7-3. So go try to find highlights to that game. And now I gotta go see who they played. Hold on. Wake Forest played Tulane. Wake Forest and Tulane had a total of 10 points. Yeah, I like Duke a lot in this one, though just because there's so many other games that I like more, it's a confidence of 5, but it could also be a 10, 9, 8, 7, whatever. Mm-hmm. Very confident.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny, I could see last week's highlight for this, when it's at Wake Forest, let's see the highlights. They won. Okay, let's move on. That's the way it went there. But this week it's going to be like they lost, and they lost pretty bad. Yeah, I think Duke, you guys are on the right end of that.
Yeah, so then we get the interstate rivalry, Iowa State and Iowa Hawkeyes. What do you think?
The Hawkeyes are still trying to prove their point from last year where they really are a contender. A lot of people thought, even though they went on that long undefeated streak, that they really weren't at that same level, and then they kind of showed that as they lost to Michigan State and they got trounced by Stanford. They're trying to show it again this year, and I really like them in this game, especially at home. Sure, it's a interstate rivalry, but give me the Hawkeyes big, and this is my 8.
Yeah, the Hawkeyes for me too. I mean, I just feel like that they're going to bring too much power. It's going to be competitive because of the in-state thing, but I think at the end of the day, it's going to be one of those pull-away games.
Yeah. Let's see. I think I have Iowa here. I have it as my 7 confidence. Iowa State has some playmakers, but their offensive line just worries me that it doesn't matter about the playmakers. Iowa's defense is going to be rushing through them. Not to mention Iowa could be up a bunch of scores by the time Iowa State even gets to turn around, figure out what the hell hit them. North Carolina State and East Carolina.
What do you got, Gary?
I got East Carolina here. I don't know. This was very difficult for me to go through, but I just think, both these teams, from what I remember, I believe they both blew out the teams they were playing, if I'm not wrong on that. So it's kind of a picky-choosy who's going to do better. We really don't know. But I'm just going to put my hat on East Carolina.
That's interesting. I was actually going to say I'm taking North Carolina State, but I was going to say don't sleep on East Carolina. They put up almost 700 yards of offense. Yes, it was against a nobody, but that offense is definitely legit, and especially at home, those are the teams that kind of scare you. I mean, we saw Washington State lose to Eastern Washington in a shootout, and that's what I think this could turn into. So Gary might not be that far off with his prediction, but I will stick with the Wolfpack. And I didn't. Where'd I have it? I had it at a 6.
Let's see. I had it as my 8. North Carolina State.
And actually, as I speak, I'm moving it down.
So one of the ones that might be a bit tougher because they can keep up with each other score-wise, Washington State and Boise State.
This will be an interesting game to watch. I don't see Washington State keeping up on that blue turf. Again, they lose the shootout to Eastern Washington, which I told you last week, bet the over, and as long as the over was not 88 points, I was right. And actually the over-under for this game is 74, and I would probably still take the over here. Washington State gave up over 600 yards to Eastern Washington, while Boise State themselves went for 584 yards. This could be a first one to 50 wins, and I like Boise State to get there first, and it's my 9.
Yeah, I got Boise State as well. I think that blue turf is going to help them out a lot, and just being the fact that that scoring is just going to be too much.
Yeah, Boise State should win this. I mean, it's going to be fun to watch, like Randy said, but Washington State going to fall to 0-2. I got it as my 4, though, just because you never know. Washington State could decide to be the one that has the ball last and they win.
Mm-hmm.
Another one that I think might be a little bit tough, just because these two teams are kind of in that same area, Pittsburgh and Penn State.
Yeah, this is my 2, because I could see Penn State pulling the upset on the road, but I'm going to go with the Panthers here.
Yeah,
their defense is pretty tough.
Yeah, they are a tough defense, and I think that Pittsburgh is one of those teams that's on the rise. They really are, got a good squad. But I think this week maybe I'm going crazy. But I'm picking some of these teams that I think maybe not everybody else is picking. But I just the Nittany Lions, I kind of feel like there's something going on there. I think that they can find a way to win. So I'm going to pick them, even though I may be completely wrong.
I got Pittsburgh on this one. I think at the end of the day, they showed they're a much better team. I feel like I can trust Pittsburgh more than Penn State, honestly. I'm just going to go with that. I do have it as my 3, just because I'm not so confident in that decision. But I think that covers everything that we have on the pick'em for us. But let's go through the rest of this top 25. Oklahoma State and Central Michigan. Don't sleep on the MAC, guys. Oh, I knew you were going to do it.
Oh, boy.
I'm telling you, Cooper Rush, he's not a joke.
Well.
He can rush on back to the locker room down 30. It's all right.
I think they'll keep it close. I think Oklahoma State wins, but I think Central Michigan keeps it close.
Yeah, I can see that.
Texas A&M blowing out Prairie View, right? We don't even need to.
Without a doubt.
the battle of the A&Ms.
Prairie View just getting shellacked at Kyle Field. Georgia's whooping Nichols. I think that's a no-brainer.
You could just go down the list here.
Yeah,
you know what? UCF likes to play giant killer. They usually always kill one a season. I don't know if it's going to be Michigan, but,
If this was Michigan 10 years ago, sure. I mean, the same team that lost to Appalachian State, but with Jim Harbaugh there, he is so intense. He's not going to let any one of his players go, we're just playing UCF this week. No, Jim Harbaugh goes in there and goes, it's like Alabama this week. You got to go in there with the intensity. So I can't see Michigan getting surprised by anybody.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. Houston's whooping Lamar.
Mm-hmm.
Clemson and Troy, we know where that one's going.
Mm.
Florida State, Charleston Southern, we know where that's going. Baylor's whooping SMU. Wisconsin and Akron. Maybe Akron Navy stand a chance at all.
No.
It'd be interesting. I'm more interested in this matchup just based on the fact that Wisconsin is so defensive based and Akron is so offensive based. Akron, 6 touchdown passes in their opening game of the season. We saw what Wisconsin was able to do to LSU. So we'll see what they get to do against a high-powered offense. I don't think Akron will win this game, but it's just the difference of styles could be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Nevada could give Notre Dame a game. I'm telling you, they're not a team that's just totally take lightly.
Now Notre Dame now sticking with Kaiser. I think they have their focus and they're ready to roll through the rest of the season and give everyone fits. Yes, Nevada is not a pushover, but after the loss last week, I see Notre Dame really getting things going.
Yeah, and that defense is so fast. I mean, not only they clicking on offense at times, but that defense, man, they can swarm. So I got to go Notre Dame here. They got to make a bounce back.
Western Kentucky also isn't a total pushover, but this is Alabama. They whooped USC. They're gonna do the same. In Western Kentucky.
That's my question. Can Western Kentucky stay within the USC score? Can they keep it closer than USC did? That's the only question there.
I think they can. Ohio State's whooping Tulsa. Ole Miss is whooping Wofford. If Idaho scores points against Washington, that'll be a surprise. Any thoughts there, from where you live, Randy?
It's just going to be awful. It's going to be a blowout.
Miami should take care of Florida Atlantic. I say that it should. This is Miami we're talking about. Louisiana Monroe also likes to play giant killer sometimes, but I think Oklahoma's going to be pretty angry. They're not letting that slip away.
Can I say Oklahoma by 98 in this one? Is that too much?
I mean, they know who they're facing next week. This is nothing for them. Texas in their usual trip to playing UTEP. We know who's winning that. And LSU should rebound against Jacksonville State with no problem.
Well, I don't know. They got rid of that offensive lineman who had the big hit. I mean, that could just cost us this whole game.
Ooh.
Josh
and actually, I feel awful because I went on that little rant, and the guy completely deserved it. But did you guys see what the USC guy did against Alabama? I did not see those highlights until after we recorded. But if you guys have seen, he stepped on the guy's groin.
Oof.
As he was just walking by them. Just looked down, stepped right in the groin area. By the way, he's suspended for a half.
Yikes.
Oh, a half.
A half.
Good job. Good
Just
job,
a half, All right, so that does it for... Go ahead.
No, I was just thinking that Albert Hainsworth came back and played college football again. So anyway.
Gary always got to get the Albert Hainsworth reference in there.
That's right.
So we move on to the National Football League now. The games that matter a little bit more on this weekend, honestly, let's be fair. Let's start out with the divisional. We got a few divisional matchups in week 2. Tampa Bay taking on the Atlanta Falcons. It's in Atlanta. I've got Atlanta. I'm taking Atlanta for this. At home, they should win, whether they get the piped-in crowd noise or not. But what do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm with you on Atlanta at home. They got off to that really great start last season. before the wheels kind of came off. So I want to see kind of how they start this year. The big key for me with that offense is getting Mohamed Sanu and kind of balancing the passing attack, maybe getting a little bit of pressure off of Julio Jones. We'll see how Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman also affect the running game. I just think it's more of a complete team in Atlanta than a lot of people are giving credit for. I don't see them contending for the playoffs, but I think they could defend the home turf a bit. Tampa Bay is an up-and-coming team. They continue to improve. Winston keeps taking those steps forward, but I like Atlanta in this game.
I'm going to take the other. I'm going to take Tampa Bay here. I think Atlanta is a solid team. I think they have a lot of potential, but it would not surprise me if Jameis Winston comes into this game and finds a way to make things happen and give Atlanta a lot of trouble. I could see. I just don't know if I'm sold that this Atlanta defense is solid enough to do everything that they need to do. So say what you will. I'm going to go with Tampa Bay.
Well, there we go. We already got a dissenting opinion here. So moving on, I need to get rid of this so I don't keep going to the wrong screen. The Buffalo Bills traveling to Maryland to take on the Baltimore Ravens. I think the Ravens stand a chance here. Time to show that last year was sort of a fluky thing with all the injuries. Mm-hmm. I believe they have a better team. Buffalo might have a bit more of a striking offense, but I think with the defense kind of coming back intact, Baltimore wins this one.
Yeah, I'm with you with Baltimore. I'm not a Tyrod Taylor fan. I don't think I have hidden that fact, especially on the fantasy podcast. I just can't see that offense performing that great. As you said, Baltimore is healthy. I mean, yes, last season was an awful year, but a lot of that could be contributed to the injuries, especially because even with all of the injuries, a lot of their losses were still extremely close. Now they're back, healthy, ready to go. Steve Smith decided to give it one more year so that passing attack could be really good and very a sneaky offense with Smith and Mike Wallace and Kamar Aiken. The running back situation is hilarious, and we have fun on that on the fantasy podcast as well. But I think it's a more complete team in Baltimore than I think a lot of people are giving it credit for, and I think they're the better team, and they're at home, so I'm taking the Ravens.
I'm taking the Ravens because they're at home too, but I don't know how much they're the better team. I just don't trust the Baltimore defense. I still don't know what we're going to get out of them, and I think Tyrod Taylor could actually have some success. So, I mean, I don't think this is going to be a blowout at all. I'm just going to give Baltimore the home advantage to win the game.
Alrighty. So we all picked the same on that one. Moving to the Chicago Bears traveling the Houston Texans. If there's ever a team for Brock Osweiler to show that he might actually be for real, it would be Chicago. At home, even with Osweiler, I think I still go with Houston. Got too much talent there not to win this one.
Yeah, I think they win despite Osweiler. I think he could have a decent game against, his old coach. But mostly I think they're going to win this game because of the defense, all of the pressure that they're going to be able to get on Jay Cutler and the running game with Miller. I don't see this being close. Chicago is just a mess, so I'm taking Houston.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of look at Chicago as a mess as well. I just don't know if they're going to have the ability to really do anything against this Houston defense, who is going to be swarming. They're going to be attacking, and then I look over on the other side of the ball for Houston, and I think Lamar Miller is ready to prove that he is one of the top backs in this league. Even, though Brock Osweiler may do his thing and make a few mistakes, I think to still put them over, and Houston wins.
Yeah. So, again, looks like we all kind of picked the same here. So we got your New York Jets, Randy, taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. Different offense, but that same stingy defense for the Bengals.
I don't know if it's even that I was going to say the Bengals are a lot different. It's going to be very interesting. I had brought up in the fantasy football podcast today how it's going to be interesting to see how Boyd and LaFell kind of fit with this offense, especially if Eifert doesn't play. If Eifert doesn't play, and you take into account that Sanu and Jones are gone, that's 226 targets from last season that will not be on the field week 1. So those targets have to go somewhere. So we'll see how Boyd and LaFell are able to do. The Jets are going to bring a ton of pressure. I think Jeremy Hill is going to have a very difficult time trying to run the ball between the tackles. Bernard might have a little bit extra as far as in the passing game, but it's going to be very tough to run against that defensive line of the Jets. And on the Jets side, it's the same old thing. I do think that Ryan Fitzpatrick does get underrated a little bit because he's known as the journeyman quarterback. But under Chan Gailey, he has been amazing. Over 7,000 passing yards, 45 touchdowns in just the 2 seasons in the Chan Gailey offense. And there's not many better duos at the wide receiver than Brandon Marshall and Eric Decker. So I like the Jets here. I like them because they're at home. I like them because I believe they have won the last 5 or 6 straight in week 1. They always like to start strong. It's going to be a competitive game because the Bengals are a great team, but I just think the Jets have enough to get the victory.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really just does boil down to, whose defense is, the one that shines more. And I don't know. I think the reason really I'm going to go with the Jets here is I really kind of feel like what Randy's is saying is correct here. We just don't know what Cincinnati's offense is going to be able to do. There's a lot of new pieces in place. The Jets, they have their familiar quarterback. They have a new running back, but I don't think that's going to change anything. Forte is going to do fine. Basically, I mean, I just kind of feel like the Jets got better, and I'm not sold that Cincinnati did, so I'm going to go with Jets.
I think, what did I have? Did I have the Jets too? Yes, I did have the Jets. Being at home, I think Ryan Fitzpatrick wants to show that to everybody, hey, y'all made the right choice by re-signing me. And I think the Bengals, the defense might still be the same, but that offense is going to let them down a bit. Andy Dalton not having the same weapons, not having Tyler Eifert. If you make that running game stumble a little bit, you put it all on Dalton. I think this might be a case where he's not going to be able to pull it off like he did last year. And now the battle of a returning quarterback to the league and a rookie quarterback starting, and possibly also a battle of who's going to finish last. The Cleveland Browns traveling to Lincoln Financial Field to take on Carson Wentz and the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, I think we can play a little game here. Over, under, who has more touchdowns? Robert Griffin III or Carson Wentz?
I'll go, I'll say RG3.
Yeah, I'm going to say RG3 as well. And I'll say by 2 or more.
I'll say Carson Wentz just because Philadelphia Eagles defense, that's a defense I don't want to mess with. Offense, maybe Carson Wentz gets sacked a lot, but let's not play around and act like, RG3 just has this mass of awesome people to throw to other than, look, Corey Coleman's obviously pretty good, and, let's not discount Gary Barnidge, but the Cleveland Browns defense is, pretty putrid. So,
and Terrell Pryor, don't forget about Pryor. His favorite target in the preseason.
I'm still going to go the Eagles here.
Yeah, I got to go Eagles too. I think, Sean, you hit a good point. That defense is going to be the deciding factor. Yes, I'm giving RG3 the over, but I really feel like, the Eagles winning isn't going to be because, of Wentz. I think it's really going to be based on Matthews. I think it's going to be based on even Sproles, guys like that, running the ball. I could see Wentz getting a touchdown and then splitting maybe some touchdowns with those guys. So I don't think it's all about Wentz in this game for the victory. I think it's about their defense.
Listen, Wentz has not looked good in the preseason. I don't see him looking that well here as well. He's still pretty banged up as it is because he's just getting trounced. The offensive line is not good in Philadelphia, and I think Cleveland has a bit more speed on defense than people are giving them credit for. I do like Darren Sproles in this matchup based on dump-offs. You saw C.J. Anderson scoring on Thursday night on a little dump-off screen that worked great. I think Sproles will be very effective in that role. But I like Cleveland in this game. Listen, they're not going to be a great team. They might only win 3 or 4 games this whole season. But they do have some firepower, even without Josh Gordon right now. I mean, you saw it a lot. Yes, it was a preseason, and I'm not going, oh my God, they're going to be so great. But they can go deep down the field. They can make those big plays that are needed to win ball games. I think this is going to be close, but coming down to it, even though he has some injury history, I would rely more on RG3 than Carson Wentz right now.
That's fair. I could see that, but I mean, it's just, RG3 does have the veteran of having been there and everything. It's always hard to rely on a rookie. Look at what the Rams are doing. They have Jared Goff as inactive for this game. He's not even he couldn't even play if he wanted to. Whereas the Eagles are just deciding, okay, we're going to throw him out there. Yeah, RG3 at least has the experience of having been there. So this one certainly could be a doozy, guys. It's a game I know for sure Randy will be covering. I should mention that we will have this. I just don't have all of these sort of listed out right now. But Randy's doing the Jets. Anytime the Jets are involved, he's doing the Jets and Bengals game. He's also doing the Packers and Jaguars game. Gary will be doing the Browns and Eagles. He has this fascination with RG3 for some reason. And I'm doing the Houston, Texans, and Bears. And the other ones are kind of up in the air right now as far as who's doing those. But Green Bay Packers, Jacksonville Jaguars, that's a game for the neutral to watch, certainly right there. Lots of firepower happening.
Yeah, I hit the jackpot on this game. This game is going to be so much fun to watch. I have been waiting for this game to happen since the schedule came out. Everyone knows my infatuation with the Jacksonville offense, especially fantasy-wise. I do think it takes a step back because that team has gotten more balanced. I think that defense has improved. And Jacksonville, as a team in general, is a much better team. Unfortunately, they start the season off, even though at home, against a Green Bay Packers team who gets Jordy Nelson back, who has Eddie Lacy, half of Eddie Lacy from last year, who looks like he's in shape, ready to go, and a Packers team that has to just have that nasty taste of that ridiculous Cardinals game in the playoffs still just in the back of their mouths. I think they come out just ready to fire. I think this is a high-scoring affair. I do think we see a little bit of the old junk time Jaguars here before they really take that next step forward. I think the Packers pull away in a very high-scoring game, but I can't see Jacksonville keeping up.
Yeah, I look at this as a situation where, whose defense is going to finally make the stops. And I think Green Bay's defense is going to be able to do that. I still feel like Jacksonville's defense has improved, but they still don't have that identity that they need. And I think that them being in limbo a little bit here will affect them down the stretch. And, we'll see with Jacksonville's offense. Is it going to be fantasy friendly again? I think it will be to an extent, but maybe not enough to win this game.
Yeah, I got Green Bay as well, just for all the kind of the same things you guys said. It's going to be, this is going to be so much fun to watch. This is going to be shootout of all shootouts, at least you think. Let's not discount the Green Bay and Jacksonville also. Well, at least you think Jacksonville has a very good defense. And Green Bay has a pretty good one as well. For all we know, maybe the defense has shut it all down. But either way, I'm really looking forward to this, as you guys have said. And I got Green Bay winning this. So we move on again. Minnesota Vikings now with, Sam Bradford at quarterback, taking on Marcus Mariota and those Tennessee Titans. Battle of also some pretty good defenses here. But I got to go with the Titans. DeMarco Murray has looked revitalized with that Titans offense. Let's not forget that Mariota has some guys to throw to. It's going to be interesting to see what, if at all, Bradford can do in his first game with only less than a week of study and what they're going to do with that offense. But he's still got Adrian Peterson, and he's still got that defense to rely on, too.
And honestly, as of today, I don't think Sam Bradford is going to start. I think it's going to be Sean Hill in this first game. I think they're going to be very conservative in the offense. I think it's going to be a lot of Adrian Peterson and a lot of dump-offs, so like a Kyle Rudolph, and just very vanilla offense. Don't make the mistakes. If you go 3 and out, that's fine. Just don't throw interceptions. And I think they're safer with Sean Hill at this point. I went on that rant about the trade and how I didn't think it was that great. But even if it was great, you've had only a week for Bradford. It's smarter to go with Hill now and let Bradford work into the system before just throwing him out there. I like Tennessee in this game just because I think they're more balanced. Yes, defense for Minnesota is great, but let's see if Mariota can take that next step forward now that he has a solid running game behind him and it's now not just on his shoulders. So I like Tennessee here.
I'm a little surprised. I really am, especially after some of our discussions about Minnesota that Randy took the Tennessee Titans. I'm going Tennessee as well. I really feel like that defense for Minnesota is going to do fine for the beginning, but I keep thinking to myself, the Tennessee's going to run the ball and then run the ball. And sure, Marcus Mariota is going to get his, but I really feel like it's going to be the DeMarco Murray and Derrick Henry show. I really do. It's worked for them in preseason. I think they're going to try it again in the regular season and see how much they can wear down this defense. And, we all know DeMarco Murray is also not a stranger of catching the ball out of the backfield. So I think in the long run, I think it's going to come down to the fact that really the quarterback play on Minnesota's part. I don't care if it's Sean Hill. I don't care if it's Sam Bradford. Heck, I don't care if it's Joe Montana. I think it's going to come down to they're not really ready yet. This is a big surprise for them for not having their starting quarterback now. I think it's going to affect them in this game. Tennessee wins.
Yeah, I have Tennessee as well. I just think it's going to be too hard for the Vikings to overcome. And like I said, Tennessee last year was known for sacking quarterbacks. Sean Hill's not the kind of guy I'm just thinking, okay, he's just going to be avoiding tons of rush. And Mariota, a year older, a year wiser with the talent he has. This could definitely be one of those games that it could also be like 12-9. But I kind of have a little bit more faith with Tennessee here. And the next game on the docket. Oh, this one's sure to get some blood boiling from a certain person. And of course, Gary will be covering this game because it's the San Diego Chargers taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. I gotta tell you right now, the Chiefs are winning this game. I'm sorry.
Hey,
Okay.
I'm sorry, Rochelle.
Gary, do it.
Rochelle had
Come
some
on.
good
Do it.
That
Come on.
San Diego defense is great. Have you not watched them in preseason? I mean, they've only given up a lot of. They've only given up a lot of points in preseason, and that's just preseason. So saying that in the regular season, they're probably going to give up more. So anyway, yeah, I'm sorry, Rochelle. I know you hate this, but I don't see any redeemable fashion that they're going to be able to win this game. I mean, sure, Phillip Rivers can try to keep you in games like this, and heck, I think he's an excellent player. I love Phillip Rivers, but I don't know how they're going to overcome things when it comes to this game. I look at this as a team that, they may be able to score 25, 30 points on you, and that's fine and dandy, but when it comes down to it, what's going to happen here is we're going to have Kansas City's defense sticking around, making sure that they get turnover. So no matter how much Phillip Rivers scores, I think the defense scores just as much. It would be turnovers on fumbles or interceptions. I just think Kansas City overall, their defense is going to be a big effect in this game. And heck, I mean, Kansas City themselves, they're not a slouch on offense either. So it's got to be Kansas City for me.
Listen, even if San Diego was a better team, I think maybe my Super Bowl prediction last year was a year too soon. I didn't predict it this year. I think New England's going to be there, but I did see an ESPN analyst use my last year prediction of Kansas City and Green Bay this season, and I don't really disagree. I think Kansas City is one of the more overall balanced, great teams in the AFC, and at home at Arrowhead. Again, even if San Diego was a better team, I don't see them having much of a chance. And since I do think San Diego is one of the worst 4 teams in the league right now, I don't see them even being close.
Yeah, this could be close because it's a divisional game, but again, it's also the Chiefs and Chargers, and a lot of times the Chiefs will face the Chargers. Chargers don't get to do a whole lot.
All right, I want to play.
Go ahead.
Can we play a game just real quick, though?
Yeah, go ahead.
We'll see how long this game lasts. Does Melvin Gordon get his first touchdown?
No.
Not in this game.
All right, well, we will see what happens and maybe play round 2 next week.
Okay.
I mean, personally, I've got Melvin Gordon in a lot of leagues, so I kind of need him to. But a lot of them is because I auto-drafted in that league or I didn't really have an option. So, but still.
Hopefully you got Woodhead as well.
Yeah.
I have to look at the waiver wire.
Woodhead is the option.
Yeah, there's also this button called drop. You may want to use that too.
No.
Trust me, Melvin Gordon's going to get you 5 points unless they find a way for Phillip Rivers to throw in the ball.
Wait, so you're saying for the whole season just drop him?
I'm just kidding. No, I wouldn't do it. That's not relevant in fantasy advice. That's just me being a rear end.
We need that as a t-shirt.
That's weird. It's not relevant as fantasy advice. It's me being a rear end. Not even an ass. A rear end. That's great.
That needs to be the first W2M Network shirt.
There you go, Gary. You get the first.
Yeah.
W2M.
And Gary can sign it and send it to Rochelle.
There you go.
Oh man. You guys are gonna get to not listen to this show anymore.
Oh, I love Danny Woodhead, Rochelle. He's amazing. Get his autograph for me.
I'm just setting it up for when she's able to be on this podcast again.
Yeah, he really wants her to be angry.
She has not been able to get on here live with Gary yet.
Oh no,
that has to happen, Rochelle. If you're listening,
she lives on that West Coast. It could happen.
Yeah, it could.
Yeah. We need to try to set that up. Then maybe Gary can meet in the middle with time or something.
Yeah, we will.
Either way, we get a game that I know I will be covering. The Oakland Raiders traveling to the New Orleans Saints. This should be fun. Derek Carr and that New Orleans Saints defense that is hapless. And Drew Brees getting to go against this Oakland Raiders defense that is going to be just mauling people. This should be fun.
Yes, it's definitely going to be an interesting game. Drew Brees getting the new contract extension. See how happy he is there. Kobe Fleener there trying to take over that Jimmy Graham role. And Oakland wanting to prove that they're contenders. This one's going to be very interesting.
It will be, and I definitely look for Derek Carr to have a big game here. I'm excited about him, and I just think, once again, we keep talking about defenses in these games, but once again, I think that the most aggressive defense is going to be Oakland, and I think they're going to be able to do the same thing I was talking about with Kansas City, make turnovers happen, and Drew Brees is going to get his. Trust me, he's going to get it, but at the same time, I think there could be some mistakes. I think sacks are going to affect him, and at the end of the day, Oakland wins this game.
Yeah, certainly. I got to go with Oakland here too. It's hard for me to think that this. I mean, look, it's Drew Brees. He can work some magic, but I just think that this Raiders defense is going to want to come to play. They're going to want to showcase that they're one of the best in the league, and not a better team to show it off in New Orleans. Okay, I think we don't really. Go ahead.
I haven't made my prediction yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Let me get my prediction in. And let me get my joke in. I'm ready to
Normally
go with this.
Okay, go ahead.
Listen, I actually like New Orleans in this game. Oakland going East Coast, going to the Silverdome. I mean Superdome.
Brother.
I was waiting for that the whole time, and I missed my stop. But before I move on, I'm taking New Orleans. I was looking at the San Diego schedule. Rochelle, I want to personally invite you October 13th after the Thursday game against Denver. When we do this podcast after the Thursday game, come on, head-to-head with Gary.
Remember, if it's in San Diego, she might be going to the game.
That is true, and it is in San Diego.
But
then she can go all the way home because we usually record.
Oh, Gary will be gone. Gary will be at a cruise, so.
Well, fine. Well, then Rochelle could take his place for that week.
Hey! Oh, that's a good idea, guys.
Now, she will probably go to the game, but she can go home. We usually record a little bit later. Mm-hmm. Rochelle, we need a replacement for Gary now that I'm learning. I would love it for you to come on.
I forgot. We didn't tell Randy. I think we've only said it on the wrestling podcast.
Yeah, I made a few jokes in the wrestling podcast about me being gone. But yes, so that weekend, I will, that week, actually. Yeah.
We're going to have to figure out what to do without Gary. Jeez.
I just did.
Oh.
You'll survive. Just play some Phil Collins music in the background, and you guys will just act like you'll feel like I'm there all the time.
Yeah, he'll certainly be in the air.
Oh, Jesus.
But, we'll be in the air between this next game in Seattle. Will be the smell of blood that will be coming from the death that's going to happen for the Miami Dolphins in this game. I've got to watch this game, so at least you don't. I just got to watch the Dolphins get massacred here.
Animal cruelty going on in the Northwest on Sunday.
We all got Seattle, right? Like, we don't even have to really talk about this game.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, it will be interesting. Adam Gase, first time with Ryan Tannehill as the starting quarterback. What is Arian Foster going to do? That kind of thing. But, man, this is a buzzsaw to go through.
There are two news stories going into this game. One of them fantasy related, with Christian Michael basically being the number one as they try to slowly get Rawls back into it. And the other one was after the Thursday night game tonight, and the local news hit here in the Northwest. The first news story they hit was Marshawn Lynch hinting at wanting to come back. My God, I hate my life.
I guess the Skittles endorsement is slipping away.
Beast mode is. Well, hey, Landon Donovan's trying to come back for the Galaxy, so I guess everybody's just into it now.
Yeah. You know what? I want to say something about this game, and of course, that New Orleans game. Randy said that they're going to win. I think New Orleans wins by turning off the lights during the game. And then I think, the only way for, the Dolphins to win this game is to get a new team. So unless you get rid of the quarterback, that may change your momentum. You may actually win a game or two. Outside of that, this is going to be a slaughter. I mean, you might as well watch the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it's going to be the same thing.
No, Gary has a point. Miami could win this game if they go to the W2Mnet.com, read my review on Madden 16, and then go pick up the game and play that game themselves.
You're exactly right. I agree with that. So do that now.
What a cheap plug.
Just call me Mick Foley.
Yep.
Right here on this podcast. All right. So we will save one of these games here next on the list for a little bit. Detroit is traveling to Indianapolis, so this game actually could be pretty interesting because you've got Andrew Luck coming back, you've got Stafford with his new offense.
Yes.
You got the Colts who still aren't playing defense.
Yes.
So shootout, right?
And the Colts that still don't have an offensive line. and the entire Indianapolis fan base just holding their breath every time that Andrew Luck drops back. And actually, this game is probably the most interesting game on the schedule to me. I really want to say Detroit can win this game. I like the offense. I love how the end of the year went for Stafford under Jim Bob Cooter. As Mike said, greatest name in NFL history. That offense can really take the next step. But if Andrew Luck is healthy, the Colts are always dangerous. This is at home. I'm not going to take Detroit, but I really want to. But I will take the Colts here.
Yeah, this goes back to home field advantage again, and I think that's kind of why I'm going more along with the Colts here. But I just, it's going to be a sketchy game because I think it definitely could go either way. I mean, Matthew Stafford can make something happen, and I would not be surprised if that shootout did end with, Detroit finding a way to do it. But, I don't know. I think if I'm going to have to go with my gut, I'm going to go with Andrew Luck and the Colts.
I'm the same way, Randy. I really want to pick the Lions, but I just can't. At home, Colts, Andrew Luck's going to want to have one big hot fire game to show that, he's not lost anything. I'm gonna go with the Colts here as well. And now, Gary, the game that Brandon Biscoming, who is a AW10 Net staffer here, and he has participated in some of the group columns that we've done. He and I will be returning to Rabble for this game. New York Giants and the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott, first game at quarterback, taking on Eli Manning and that hot fire offense, and then also the new look defense as well. They actually have pass rushers this year, Gary. Be afraid. Be very afraid. Are you?
Yeah, the defense definitely looks pretty scary. It really does. It's going to be very difficult for Zeke Elliott to run on that Giants defense because they got guys now that can actually clog the middle of the field. They've got some edge rushers, not just Pierre Paul, but they also have, some help there. And, I look at this team basically when it comes to defense is just being centered on that front four. The linebacking core, the secondary, that's a different story for the New York Giants. So it's going to come down to Dak Prescott. It really is. And can he get the ball out quick? Can he do all the things that Eli Manning does? Because you want to flip the coin, look at the offense for the Giants. Eli Manning has survived with some awful offensive lines. Why? Because he gets the ball out quickly. He makes decisions with a quick decision, and it saves him a lot of times. And he's, let's be honest, has been successful by that during that process. So going back at Dak Prescott, it's really going to see, can he fit the ball in tight windows, things like that, and can Zeke Elliott do anything? So it's going to come down to a few things, but at the end of the day, I really don't know who could win because I think that both teams have strengths and weaknesses that could be very night and day. But I don't know why. I'm just going to go being a homer. I'm going to go with Dallas just for fun, even though I'm probably wrong. I don't feel good about it.
I also went the homer route here. They're at home, which maybe makes a difference for Dallas. I don't know. You never hear them. But sorry, I had to take the shot at the wine and cheese crowd. But hey, you know what? I'm telling you, you can say it's preseason all you want, but he's placing the ball in the right places. He has the chemistry with Dez Bryant. You got Ezekiel Elliott there. You got that offensive line. Yeah, it's probably going to be a shootout because the Dallas defense may not be able to do jack squat against Eli. But this pains me. This pains me. I'm gonna pick Dallas, but it's one of the, if I had a confidence pick, it'd be like at 1. I don't know if I have a confidence for the,
Can I get a 0?
See, Sean, you're talking about all of these great relations that Prescott is getting with like the Dez Bryants of the world, but you missed his best friend, the greatest companion he has, and that's Alfred Morris and that wonderful hug run that they have massively figured out during the preseason.
Oh, yes.
But listen,
a play we all though.
Dallas has won 5 of the last 6 matchups. Did lose the last one without Tony Romo there. I'm not on the group of saying Dak Prescott's going to hit the regular season and just implode. I do think he is better than the combination of backups that led to a 1-11 record without Tony Romo last year. I think he's going to keep you competitive in games. However, in this game, I'm a bit more worried, as has been brought up, about the secondary of Dallas. Eli Manning and this Giants offense is going to throw the ball, and they're going to throw the ball, and they're going to throw the ball, and they have multiple weapons to go to, and I don't think the Cowboys can cover all of them. So their only hope is to get to Eli Manning before he can get rid of it, and I don't see that happening. I like the Giants in this game. But like I said, I think Prescott. It's not going to be because of the play of Dak Prescott.
Yeah, and want to know something very interesting, and this really does relate to Dak Prescott himself. Do you guys know where he actually went to quarterback camp? He went to Archie Manning's camp, and his coach was Eli Manning. So, very interesting fact about that. Just thought to throw that out there. All very good friends. In fact, Peyton sent him a text as soon as he found out that he was going to be the starting quarterback. Interesting.
Well, I mean, Peyton does have all that time on his hands now. Yeah,
that's true. Well, you say that, but he's been doing like 5 or 6 commercials a day. So.
Yeah, now he has that one with Lionel Richie. I mean, it's.
No, I'm working on our
that
commercial.
Oh yeah. You already have Peyton Manning booked? Dang,
we're trying.
I didn't know you had that. That's way, Gary.
Just call Daddy. Daddy lines it up for us. So thank you, Archie.
Nice. I think the only games we got left is this one. But the Patriots, they're going to be, especially one Tom Brady, he's going to be wondering something.
Wake me up when September ends.
Yes. Wake him up when September ends. Because that's the next time that Tom Brady is going to be playing a football game. How do you think the Patriots do without Tom Brady here against... We're talking about one of the superpowers of the NFC of the Arizona Cardinals.
Listen, I did think that I still do think the Patriots can go 2-2 without Tom Brady. This is one of those losses without any shadow of a doubt in my mind, especially with the news that has come out recently of Rob Gronkowski saying that he's not 100% and he may not play on Sunday night as
great.
well.
Talk about killing my fantasy team. Damn you.
So we will see how that progresses. But he did injure it before the preseason. Has been limited in practice this whole time. So we'll see how that goes too. But no Gronk on top of no Tom Brady. Just put this in the books. Arizona has the better defense, one of the best defenses in the league. The offense with 97 different weapons for Palmer to go to. I don't think this is going to be very pretty.
Don't forget Chandler Jones playing against his own old team. That's a factor, motivation factor there.
Mm-hmm.
Gary, stone cold lock, right?
I would never say that with the New England Patriots because they're the New England Patriots. Right now, Walt Disney has sprinkled his juju juice on them, and they can do whatever they want when they want.
I will say, New England defense, no joke.
No, they're not a joke, and Garoppolo himself's not really a joke. I mean, they can come in and still win this game. I'm not ready to even say it's close to a lock, but I do believe in that defense of Arizona, and I do believe in Palmer and what they can do and find a way to win, even if it's a tie window. I don't think it's going to be a blowout at all or anything like that. I think it's going to be a very tight window. I think it's going to be very much like that game we watched tonight with Carolina and Denver. Maybe not as hard hitting, but I still feel like that's going to be what we're looking at. The last-minute field goal could decide who wins this game because, once again, the New England Patriots have that juju. And we'll see.
Yeah. Got the Patriots as well. No, or not the Patriots. Got the Cardinals as well. No
Cardinals.
joke here.
No, you said Patriots. I heard it.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah. Well, no, I said Cardinals. Cardinals. Yeah. I think this is one of those no doubt. You know what's happening here. I mean, Patriots might be able to keep up, but the Cardinals are going to pull away eventually. This one should be interesting. Now, the first Monday night game, some playoff teams here going against each other. Pittsburgh Steelers and the Washington Redskins. Kirk Cousins at home against Ben Roethlisberger and those Steelers. No Le'Veon Bell, but D'Angelo Williams should be enough here. I'm going to take the Steelers away from home winning against Washington.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I really feel like Big Ben's going to come in and he's going to make some things happen for this team. And I really respect the Washington defense. They've got a pretty solid group there, and I think that they will, stifle the Pittsburgh Steelers at times. But I still personally feel that, with Antonio Bryant, with the rest of this, offense that was so good last year, sure, they're not as great as they were because they lost, of course, Bryant and, of course, Heath Miller's no longer a part of that. But I think they still got enough talent that they're going to find a way to win this game. Washington, I feel like, they'll put up some points as well. But I think at the end of the day, Pittsburgh can win this game.
Listen, key matchup here. Antonio Brown versus the newly acquired Josh Norman. I think that's going to be a blast to watch the entire game. I think this is another one of those shootout type situations. Lots of weapons for Pittsburgh to go to. Kirk Cousins and Washington, we've said all offseason how we love the collection of wide receivers along with Jordan Reed that Kirk Cousins has to go to. He has shown the intelligence to make the right decisions and has used all of the weapons greatly. Over 300 yards in 5 of the last 8 games last season, through 3 or more touchdowns in each of the last 3 games. To see if that can convert over to the beginning of this year. Because they're at home, I'm going to take the mini upset here, and I'm going to take Washington.
Oh.
Fair enough.
Interesting. And finally, we have the Los Angeles Rams returning to the NFL. They won't be at home for this one, but they do get to face division rival, the San Francisco 49ers, with a team that also might be dead last. According to our power rankings, they are, which you can check out on WTMNet.com. But, yeah, I mean, what do you think? Case Keenum against the 49ers? I mean, should be okay, right?
Case Keenum versus Blaine Gabbert. The battle of the century.
Oh, man.
Battle
I love
of
it.
2 guys you didn't think would be starting in the NFL.
One's from the University of Houston. So, I mean,
Oh,
one
boy.
deserves it.
We
Just saying.
I knew we had to have the moment of Gary pimping Case Keenum here.
I'm just saying, Ryan Tannehill is allowed to play in this league, so why shouldn't somebody that goes to a superior school be able to go to and play in this league too? So anyway, Texas A&M quarterbacks are not good, but we are here, and
That will be a line you will hear Gary say plenty of times.
Once they prove to me that an A&M quarterback can play in the NFL, we'll talk better things about him. But anyway, I think that this is not about either of the quarterbacks. This is about defense, and this is about running backs. And Carlos Hyde is a big disappointment. He has not shown anything, and he's just kind of been injured, kind of been there, not been that guy that they needed him to be. Todd Gurley, though, he is going to have a blast. Can't wait to see what he can do in this game. I think he's going to be the center point of this offense. And then I think that the Los Angeles defense is better. So I'm going L.A.
All right. Randy, did you?
Listen, the Rams have the better defense. I think they have the better running game. I think they have the better team. But you know who we said that about last year? The Minnesota Vikings. And who did the Vikings play in the second Monday night game in Week 1? The San Francisco 49ers. And the 49ers destroyed them. And then showed that they suck, basically, the whole rest of the year. I'm taking the 49ers here in the upset. I think they might win 3 games all year. This is one of them.
So do you think if maybe Gabbert plays really bad, do we see Kaepernick at all?
Does his legs work? I haven't seen him stand up all preseason.
Ah!
Listen, yeah,
Oh.
I'll go there. Nothing will surprise me in a Chip Kelly offense. He has no problems switching between quarterbacks. He hasn't been his thing in the NFL, but I could see that happening where he just starts playing the hot hand. It's not, a typical NFL thing to do, but Chip Kelly is not your typical head coach.
Very true. All right, guys. Well, anything else you want to add? Anything?
Did you pick?
Who'd you take? Okay.
I thought I picked the Rams, but yes, I'm
Okay.
picking the Rams here.
Because of Case Keenum. Okay.
I think they should be starting Sean Mannion, just me personally. But
Okay, go ahead. You can close out the show.
I was just saying. Okay. I diss Gary's Case Keenum, so he wants you to end this show now.
We're done. Thanks a lot, guys.
Gary quits
wait,
the show
wait.
because.
Now, hold on. Before we end, you cannot go to bed mad. I need you guys to hug it out over the podcast right now. Sean, apologize for the evil thing you said.
How do I really?
Yes, apologize so Gary can go to sleep with a smile on his face.
I'm sorry, Gary.
Thank you. Now I can put my Bailey t-shirt on and be happy. Thank you.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, at least Gary's not
It's
one
okay.
of those weirdos, He has his daughter wears it with him, so.
Yeah, she does.
No, I'm talking about like the 35-year-old guys that don't have kids and they wear the Bailey shirts. That's really creepy.
It is.
See, Gary's not one of those. But so we'll be back on Monday night after this, or we'll be doing a nightcap here. We might have to do Raw during the Rams game, because if not, we're gonna be up at like 6 a.m.
Exactly.
So, Randy, you might have to take the covering that game, but yeah.
Oh, trust me, we already talked about it. We're doing the fantasy podcast during that game because it's not fantasy relevant at all. So that's when we're recording that as well.
What if Todd Gurley has like some big game or something?
And we can talk about it on Thursday.
That's right.
That's great. All right, well there you go. We'll be back on that Monday show to kind of break everything down, tell you what we thought, and then move things along. Hopefully nobody gets injured or anything like that, and our picks are at least decent. So watch us get them all wrong.
Our winning percentage can't get any lower.
We
That's
did
true.
okay on the.
I was talking about we're all 0-1 right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But all right. See you later, everybody. Enjoy those games on Saturday and Sunday.
The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.